Hello, people. I'm back with an addition to the last video, my last post, breaking down the fight between Canelo and Crawford. So, before this fight tonight, on Saturday, September the 13th, 2025, I like to analyze what did we learn from the stare down, the last stare down, and also what did we learn from the actual weigh-in. So let's get some facts together. Um, First and foremost, they both came in at the same exact weight, 167.5, I believe, for both fighters. What you can quickly identify is that at the ceremonial weigh-ins, which is weird because they're doing everything like the UFC now, because Dana White is promoting this, and I actually like it. That's another thing I want to get you guys take on. Do y'all like the way this promotion is coming together? Because it looks just like, if you're a UFC fan, you notice the press conferences and the weigh-ins all look alike. But back on subject. Canelo, once they got a chance to rehydrate, is still holding more cut than Bud. Bud looks like he kind of inflated a little bit, like he has a little more water retention. Meaning he still has his muscles, but he looks a little more rounded. What that's telling me is, Canelo is carrying the weight more naturally, because his muscles absorbed a lot of his body and muscles absorbed a lot of his water concentration, because it needed it more, because he's used to being at that weight, whereas Bud has an excess of water within his body. So I don't want to go too scientific on you guys, but it just lets you know one guy is more comfortable at that weight for his physical body, whereas the other guy's body is still adjusting to that weight. Will that have an emphasis on the fight? Tomato. Some people say yes. I don't believe it will. And the reason why I don't believe it will have emphasis on the fight is just because it has nothing to do with your condition. It has everything to do with just how your body is absorbing the water intake once you are going back in hydrating yourself, for as your anaerobic and the way your body, the way your lungs, and the way you can breathe, and how much oxygen your body can sustain. That's a whole different ball of wax. Now, some may say if you're heavier, you may get tired faster. And if you don't believe that, a person that's lighter more than likely is going to do more pull-ups than a person that's heavier. It doesn't mean that the person that's lighter is stronger. It just means they have less weight to carry around. So with that being said, I don't believe Bud is going to have a problem with the weight, even though he's at a higher weight than he normally would be, because we don't know where Bud walked around at. Most people, and I just want to break this down to people that's not familiar with weight cutting and weight loss. Most fighters that fight at 147 walk around between 160 and 180 pounds anyway. When you look at a person like Gervonta Tank Davis, who fights at 135, chances are he's probably walking around at 150. Floyd was an anomaly, who was a person who fought at 147 and actually walked around at 150, 152. That rarely ever happens. Another person I can think of is like Frankie Edgar. When he was fighting in the UFC at 155, he was actually walking around at like 155. So that type of stuff, it rarely ever happens. But looking at those two gentlemen and how they look stepping off the scale, I think they're both ready to go. What I will say is Canelo has definitely trained for speed and stamina. The way his body is shaped now, he is literally trying to say, I want to be faster and I want to be able to thin my volume of punches and my volume of footwork for a longer amount of time. We just don't know if he can do that, because when Canelo used to be shaped like this back in the day, when he was in tip-top shape, like way back when he was fighting Mayweather, and he was small like this, even though he wasn't weighing in at 168, so I'm sure he's stronger now, and that may help him. But Canelo used to get tired around the 6th and 7th round, just like I told you guys last time. When he lets his hands go and he starts to move and he's trying to pick up the volume of punches earlier in the fight, Canelo tends to slow down around 6, 7, 8 round. And then he'll pick it up 9, 10, 11, 12. It's like he take a law or break, like, okay, let me conserve my energy. And I'm talking about the way Canelo used to fight, old Canelo, that's shaped more like the Canelo is shaped right now. Brawling big Canelo, the one recently that we've seen like the last 5 years, had a whole different fighting style. Like I told y'all in the last video, he would use a systematic approach for his applying pressure without letting his hands go, keeping you under pressure just with his placement, his ring generalship, and it breaks you down mentally, because you got to always cover up or always evade. And he's just doing that, making you throw, catching it on his high guard, and then shooting back and catching you with some hot shit. And you like, oh man, he on top of me, when he's really not letting his hands go like that. So Canelo comes in with the mindset of, I am going to have more stamina and I'm going to use my speed and I'm going to pressure Bud and possibly let my hands go more. Can he sustain that throughout the fight is the question. History tells us he can't. If he can, Bud may have a long fight ahead. I'm not saying Bud can't win, but it's going to be very interesting. However, Bud, on the other hand, with his water retention and his weight, like I say, his body is still adjusting to this weight. And you can see it with his water retention, because he's still cut up. He's just a little rounder. Bud is going to have a little more weight on his punches, you guys. Canelo just better hope Bud is not as fast. I believe Bud is going to be as fast. And I said why, if you listen to me earlier in the video, because of most fighters that fight at 147, 154, they normally walk around between 160 and 180. So that's why y'all heard Bud say, the only difference is I'm cutting less. He's not cutting 30 pounds coming down from 167 or 20 pounds coming down from walking around at 167 to 147. He's not cutting those 20 pounds. Now he's walking around at 180 and cutting down. He cut down to 167 and a half. So if he's walking around at 185, cutting down to 167 and a half, that's 18 pounds. So he's still cutting around the same amount of weight. It's pretty much the same. Like there's no real difference in saying where he was cutting to get down to 147 to where he is now, because he's still cutting around the same amount of weight. Except one, he probably was walking around like 165, 166 when he was fighting at 147. Now he's walking around at 186. And it's more of his normal weight. He's more comfortable at that weight. So, and here's a big thing that people don't take into, they don't take this into their mindset, should I say. When you don't have to dehydrate yourself, that means your brain has more water retention. That means you're going to be able to adjust and fire and trigger at a faster rate, because you can recall things. Your eye, you're going to be more alert, more aware. You're going to be naturally more healthier. When you see a person that has the IQ of a Bud, who has all these different intangibles that we talked about, foot placement, as far as his adjusting of stances, his speed in between punches, the shots that he can see coming and throwing in between the shots. Bud have so many different intangibles, gauging your timing, gauging your range. So does Canelo. Canelo is very good at gauging your timing and range. I'm not saying Canelo's not good at that. What I'm saying is the weight is not going to be as much of a problem as people making it out to be, because I feel Bud is going to actually be more comfortable at that weight. And as far as him taking shots at that weight, that's something that we might have like, can Bud take a shot from a person that's that heavy? But Canelo ain't that heavy no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, he literally shrunk down. So if y'all going to say he's the natural bigger man and he's that powerful, he literally cut himself down to have more activity. So he's not even going to come in as that big brawling person. And like I said in the last video, Bud typically comes in a fight bigger than all his opponents. I can only think of Jeff Horn, Joseph Benavidez. That's it. Madrimov, they was about the same size, but Jeff Horn and Joseph Benavidez was the only people that I think was a little bigger than Bud. Once again, Bud is he's a rangy fighter, even though he's not tall and lanky. It's something when he used that stance, like I was telling y'all in the last video, he makes you recalculate. So it's going to slow you down, but getting to what I was saying in the last video, the jab is going to allow to reset, and the conditioning that he has that people think he won't have because of the excess weight is going to be there, people. I promise you. In fact, he's going to be more comfortable. But what y'all going to notice is a faster faster, quicker, higher volume of pressure from Canelo. And that was purposely done. And I'm judging that just by what I see and how he's shredded up and how he's carrying the weight. The boy barely had any water weight even at the ceremonial weigh-in. So I know he trained the condition for that. But can he run into some shit? Because I still feel Bud might edge him, even though he's going to be a little quicker than he's been in the last fight. I still think Bud is going to be faster, and I think it's going to have a lot to do with Bud range and how he's switching his stance and making Canelo reset with the jab. So Canelo intention is just to get in there and get off like he used to when he was younger, and hopefully not get tired like he used to. That's Canelo's plan. From what I see from how he's shredding down in the weigh-in, I think his plan is to be, like I said, more active and actually let his hands go a little more like he did when he was younger, and hopefully don't get tired like that. It still is not going to change the fact that he can be reset with a jab like Mayweather and Bivol did him. Boom. Now, stare down. Eye-to-eye contact. The last press conference, they looked at each other's eyes. I will say this. Canelo looked more relaxed. Canelo believes he's going to win this fight. If y'all don't think that, y'all crazy as hell. Canelo, he believes he's going to win this fight. He looked way more comfortable, way more relaxed. His body posture looking at, you can see Bud eyes was open during that stare down. And I'm talking about the stare down at the press conference where Canelo had on the black wife beater. Bud was like this, like purposely opening his eyes, trying to look into Canelo. So when people was like, Bud looks scared. Nah, he didn't look scared. He was putting emphasis on, I'm here. I'm here. That, like, you know how you can be like, yeah, what's happening? That's what y'all saw with Bud. Now, during the final weigh-in, like the ceremonial weigh-in, that face-off was a little different. Now y'all didn't see Bud with the big wide eyes. Y'all seen locked in Bud and locked in Canelo. So both of them had relaxed, composed facial features. Nobody wasn't mean mugging. They was relaxed. In their head looking at each other like, I'm about to punish you. Canelo like, you bit off more than you can chew. I'm about to hurt you. And he even tapped him on his back like, I'm about to hurt you, little buddy. Like, you don't even know. Bud was like, you done fucked up. I'm going to show y'all. You know how you had that face like, okay. That's the demeanor that Bud has. Like, okay. I'm going to show y'all. That's what I took from that last stare down. They both have respect for each other, but you are seeing two fighters that truly believe they're going to win this fight. Once again, I'm still leaning towards Bud because he has more intangibles, in my opinion. So if y'all had wanted to put the bet on what I'm saying, definitely go Bud Crawford. It's going to be a very intriguing fight. It's going to be one of the best fights we've seen in I don't know how long. I can't even say since Mayweather Pacquiao. It's going to be, as far as boxing, as the biggest fight since then. But Mayweather Pacquiao wasn't whatever. We're getting a treat, y'all. You're going to see two of the best boxers in this generation. Both of them can actually fight and box. That's the great thing about it. We know if stuff hit the fan, Canelo can fight and Bud can fight. But they both also can box in their own right. It's just one is a better boxer. Canelo is a heavier-handed fighter. Bud is a dog, almost like a Saint Bernard in, if we had to use an analogy, we would say, not a Saint Bernard, but we would say like a Cane Corso would be Canelo. Bud would be an American Pit Bull. The Cane Corso stronger, a heavier bite. The Pit Bull all fight, quick, agile, smart. I'm going for the throat. Non-stop. You gonna have to kill me. Who gonna break first? We'll see. I got Bud. Come back and let me know what y'all think in these comments. Once again, like and subscribe. I'm going to try to put these videos out. I'm starting to feel a little more comfortable making these videos. Let me know what y'all think, what I can do better. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in. Enjoy the fight tonight. I'm So 504 Boxing Breakdown. Peace.